with two strong voices familiar with the border. Joining me now, Town Hall reporter Julio Rosas. He posted those images you just saw. And also Brandon Judd, the head of the Union for the Border Patrol Agents. Brandon, it's great to get you on our calendar tonight. We've been trying for a long time to get that personal insight and perspective from the border that you bring. You saw the numbers there. You're on the front lines, 212,000 encounters. That's more than 7,000 a day. How are you doing this?
We're not doing well. If you look back and you go back to the late 90s, early 2000s, when I started my career in the Border Patrol, we were dealing with numbers similar to this, but it was completely and totally different. We were dealing with the vast majority from Mexico that we were just returning over and over and over again. Now we're dealing with people that we don't return. When you look and you consider that we apprehended 19,000 unaccompanied children, these children were released into the United States. When you consider that we apprehended 83,000 family units, 83,000 people that were with family units. Those people, the vast majority, were released into the United States also. So we released into the United States in the month of July nearly 100,000 people. And then on top of that, we had another nearly 40,000 gotaways. So 140,000 people were added to our population in the month of July. And by the way, they violated our laws. They crossed the border illegally and got rewarded for their efforts.
Julio, the video you posted this week caught our attention. You've been covering this story a long time. What did you think when you saw those images, and what's different than what you've been seeing over the last few months?
Well, it's quite simple, and it's just the fact that images like that are completely avoidable because that's the whole reason why Title 42 was implemented back in March of last year. The whole point is to prevent that type of crowding during a pandemic because as you see in those images, some of those people aren't even wearing masks and there's no social distancing of any kind. So this administration has decided to selectively enforce Title 42, and that was one of the open border policies that they implemented when they first got into office. And so as a result, more people are going to come and they're going to overwhelm the Border Patrol facilities during this time. And you'd think that the summer heat would try to dissuade people from entering the country illegally, but that's not what we've seen. And the recent apprehension numbers that you guys were just talking about just prove that. I mean, we continually are breaking records on a consistent basis now, and there's just no sign of it letting up.
Brandon, Title 42 is still in place, as I understand. So explain to us how this works and what's changed from last year, because you could use Title 42 to say essentially no one gets in, period, except unaccompanied minors if you wanted to. Is that what's happening?
No, it's not. If you look at Title 42 under the Trump administration, everybody that crossed the border illegally were sent back to Mexico. They were immediately expelled. Under the Biden administration, they've given so many different carve-outs that Title 42, unless you're a single adult, is basically a joke. We're not expelling anybody unless they're single adults. So when Secretary Mayorkas says, don't come, you're going to be returned, that's not true. That's not what's happening. The majority of the people are being released into the United States, or they're able to get away because they're overwhelming our resources and creating artificial gaps in our coverage, which allows them to cross our more dangerous products. Our children in the United States are being killed because of dangerous drugs, because of policies from this administration, and it's easy to solve. It can be stopped. It's just like a light switch. They just won't do it.
How do you do that? You say you just continue what happened under Title 42 and no one comes in, period, as a result of the pandemic?
That could be one of the things that you could do, but you could bring back remain in Mexico. You could also challenge the Flores decision. You could hold people in custody pending their deportation or asylum proceedings. We know that if they're held into custody, they're not going to pay criminal cartels thousands of dollars to be smuggled into the United States just to be deported later on down the road. So all we have to do is stop releasing people, stop the catch and release magnet that is what draws so many people to the United States. When you talk about the root cause, that is the root cause. Catch and release. If we reward people for violating our laws, they're going to continue to come.
Julio, take us back into some of these facilities that you've seen and you've covered. How many are typically in these facilities and how many are in there now? I know I saw, at least on one of your posts, there were pictures of a lot of people gathered under a bridge in Mission, Texas, I believe it was.
Right. So in the two stations, former acting commissioner Mark Morgan told me that their capacity in the Rio Grande Valley is around 600 people. And just last week, they were having to deal with 10,000 people and just those and their area of responsibility and just those two stations, and that's of course the whole sector. They're not even considering the rest of the areas. So that is a problem, and that's what Brandon was saying. Under President Trump, Title 42 applied to everybody because, again, the whole point is to prevent these large people congregating in these types of settings where they can give COVID to each other. And so, again, just the fact that, the DHS secretary can say all he wants to not tell people to come, but I've talked to some of the people that literally just crossed the Rio Grande, and I've asked them, did you ever hear the administration telling you to not come? And every single time they've said no, they didn't hear that. And so, obviously they could be lying about that, but clearly even if they did hear it, they just didn't pay attention to it. They just completely ignored it and still came anyway. So they know that this administration is a lot more welcoming and a lot more accepting to this types of migration patterns that we're seeing right now. But the problem is that it's a very dangerous journey. It empowers the cartels. And I mean, one thing that's not even been talked about is in the El Paso sector, in less than a week's time, there was 2 shootings from the Mexican side directed at Border Patrol agents. And a former DHS Secretary Chad Wolf said that was very unusual for that to happen. So this is just a multifaceted problem. And COVID's one aspect, the crowding is another, but there's just so many other different problems that is just harder to see. And because it's harder to see, it's a lot easier to ignore. Yeah, and that's why these pictures are so compelling, Brandon, because we don't really get to see it, certainly as much as your agents do. On that note, what is it that they find to be their biggest challenge, your agents at the border?
Well, we're all upset. All of us that put on a uniform and go out and patrol the border, we're all upset. If you look at the muster that happened today at 6 a.m. with Secretary Mayorkas, there was an agent that literally said, rate your ability to do your job. I mean, that's how upset the agents are. They're calling him out. They're saying that he's not doing his job, that he's not doing what needs to be done to protect the American public. And that's what's frustrating to Border Patrol agents like myself. We want to do the job to protect the American public. We go out there, we patrol the border because we know that it's very important that our families, that other people's families are protected. And when we're not allowed to do it because this administration is pandering to its base, to the open borders crowd, it becomes very frustrating. It becomes very difficult to get up before your shift, put that uniform on, and go out and do the best that you can. But thankfully, our agents continue to persevere even though they don't have the administration's support.
Hey, Brandon, before I let you go in particular, I'm curious, I always come back to this. Instead of kicking policies back and forth between presidents, isn't this ultimately up to Congress? I mean, we've been in this situation for decades now. Isn't it up to Congress to finally come up with some sort of an immigration plan that we can all either at least agree on or implement that makes sense?
Joe, that's a very good point. And yes, it is. It is Congress's responsibility. But that's one of the reasons why Congress is constantly rated so low amongst the American public. They just don't have confidence that this Congress can come together and work together to actually create laws that are going to support them.
It goes back generations. There's no question. I mean, in decades, we've been trying to figure this out, and still to no avail. Julio, I'll give you the last word here. From your sources down there, what are you hearing is next?
I mean, it's just more of the same, and more of the same. Unfortunately, right now is just more people are going to come. They will be bogged down by the people that willingly hand themselves over, and so the narcotics and the other types of people who don't want to be caught by Border Patrol then have an easier time of getting away, avoiding detection, let alone apprehension. And so it is just going to be more of the same. I mean, and we'll see what August brings us, and as we've seen recently, I mean, because the videos that we were showing was just taken this past week. Right. So it's just more people are going to come because they know that unless something changes on the national level in terms of the administration's approach, they know that this is the golden hour to come into the country. Right. Well, we're not seeing much from the border, as we mentioned, so it's great to have Town Hall reporter Julio Rosas and National Border Patrol Council President Brandon Judd come along for our eyes and ears tonight. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Joe, it was good to be with you. Thank you.